So how would you rate the performance of the Department of Health, the Secretary of State? Outstanding, good, requires improvement, or inadequate, and why?
I think that there was some brilliant, like in much of the government system, there was many brilliant people at relatively junior and middle levels who were terribly let down by senior leadership. I think that the Secretary of State for Health should have been fired for at least 15, 20 things, including lying to everybody in multiple occasions, in meeting after meeting, in the cabinet room and publicly.
Rosie?
Oh dear. In that case, do you think people should be worried about facing corporate manslaughter charges?
I don't know about that because I don't really know what the kind of laws are and the rules are, but I think that there is no doubt that many senior people were just terrible. As I said in my opening statement, I think there's no doubt at all that many senior people performed far disastrously below the standards which the country has a right to expect. I think that the Secretary of State for Health is certainly one of those people. I said repeatedly to the Prime Minister that he should be fired. So did the Cabinet Secretary, so did many other senior people.
I just wanted to pick up something that you said, Mr Cummings. I think I heard you correctly in accusing the Health Secretary of having lied. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
That's obviously a serious charge. Can you provide the committee with the evidence behind that assertion?
Yes. I mean, there are numerous examples. I mean, in the summer, he said that everyone who needed treatment, who got the treatment that they required. He knew that that was a lie because he'd been briefed by the Chief Scientific Advisor and the Chief Medical Officer himself about the first peak. And we were told explicitly people did not get the treatment that they deserved. Many people were left to die in horrific circumstances.
Is that the basis of your assertion? Are there other pieces?
Of what, sorry?
Is that the basis of your assertion, or are there other pieces of evidence that you base that charge on?
Yes, I mean, in mid-April, just before the Prime Minister and I were diagnosed with having COVID ourselves, the Secretary of State for Health told us in the Cabinet room, everything is fine on PPE. We've got it all covered, etc., etc. When I came back, almost the first meeting I had in the Cabinet room was about the disaster over PPE and how we were actually completely sure that hospitals all over the country were running out. Secretary of State said in that meeting, this is the fault of Simon Stevens, it's the fault of the Chancellor of the Exchequer, it's not my fault, they've blocked approvals on all sorts of things. I said to the Cabinet Secretary, please investigate this and find out if it's true. The Cabinet Secretary came back to me and said, it's completely untrue. I have lost confidence in the Secretary of State's honesty in these meetings.
The Cabinet Secretary said that?
The Cabinet Secretary said that to me, and the Cabinet Secretary said that to the Prime Minister.
Did you make a note of that at the time?
Yes.
Could you supply that to the committee?
Yes.
And to corroborate the accusation that you've made against the Health Secretary, you've given orally some what is in your mind when you make that charge. I'd be grateful if you'd write to the committee to set it out so that we can consider it. Obviously, that's a very serious thing to say.